think, because
Okay.
I'm not overly confident at aerials.
Okay.
I spent a long time learning aerial right.
Okay.
I can now do it through a rings map, but just it does not translate to my gameplay whatsoever.
Okay. I don't know if you've seen any of my actual like coaching sessions so far, but I'm gonna cover what I call like the universal setup, and I'm gonna kind of cover. It'll cover like air dribbles or air drags, like any setups for jump resets. But it's basically like a setup that you'll see a lot in game, right? So I'm actually gonna kind of back up before we even get to the wall stuff and like going in the air. Obviously, like as you're playing in game, it all kind of comes down to your setup on the ground, right? Of how good you are at dribbling and how quickly you can, take a scenario from like this and turn it into, an aerial off the wall, like that.
Yeah.
So it all kind of starts from the ground up, right? So I'm gonna kind of even cover dribbling for a second, and then we'll go into the aerials from there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna kind of
Yep.
build from the ground up, literally. So what I always tell people is to try to get you comfortable with dribbling like this without boost whatsoever. You can see I haven't used a single boost since I've started this dribble. I actually used to be the world record holder for the longest dribble, and in that video,
I actually watched that all the way through.
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole comment section is just filled with people like, "Oh yeah, I just skipped to the end so I could see you drop it." I'm like, "Yeah, of course, I knew that was gonna happen."
No. Yeah.
But yeah, and what this will do is force you to slow down your movements, and it'll get you really comfortable with pushing the ball left and right, and try to get used to doing like circles like this without dropping the ball whatsoever. And then if you can, do like little figure eights, going left and right, and that'll get you really comfortable with just really driving your car like around the ball or through the ball. Sorry.
Okay.
To apply this more in game, what I find that is like a lot of people think that when you're shooting on net, you always have to like front flip flick it, right? So if I'm going towards the orange net and I try to flick it, I'm actually, if I front flip flick it, I'm pushing it away from my car, right? So I'm getting rid of the ball. Whereas especially in ones, that's not as applicable. So again, if I'm going to go towards the orange net, what you actually want to do is drive so you can see your opponent all the time. Then side flip flicking is more important there, because then it allows you to keep ball possession. See how I can actually follow this up now and I can go for another shot.
Okay.
So in Ranny, in his 1v1 masterclass video, he always talks about never trying to dribble straight on net, right? Because then now if there's a defender in net, I can't see him. So you always got to dribble at an angle. Then we can apply that, and then whenever he cuts back in, I can go like this and follow it up. So that's what really, like, learning those small dribbles without boost really helps. And it gets you used to dribbling on the ground without ball cam, of course. And then adding in dribbles or drift is important as well. Then you can sort of become like Ranny and do the whole 360s and be drift king, right? But this all builds up from being able to set yourself up from a dribble up to the wall and being able to do something with it. It all starts from that. So I'm going to talk about the actual setup now from the wall. So once you have a dribble, obviously take ball cam off and you kind of get your angle. What I see a lot of people do is when they go for like an air dribble is they'll do something like this. And I don't know if you caught that, but as soon as I have my angle, I turn my car to the left, and people again think they need that forward progression, and they turn and they hit it towards the net. That's not what you want. I already had my angle, so if I'm going at this angle here, I'm not going to turn my car left or right, because then it really just screws up my angle. Now I'm going towards the net, and I'm basically dropping it on the ground already.
That's what I end up doing. Yeah.
So what you want to do is I'm gonna purposely not turn my car whatsoever. You basically try to stick as much as you can behind the ball. You see how I'm not going to turn my car whatsoever. I'm just driving up straight with it. Well, now this is a lot better of a setup, and I can do something a little bit more with that, with a little more height. Actually hit the ball in the wall. I kind of give myself a little distance here. Then I boost up after it just to give it a little bit extra height on the wall.
Okay.
And of course, I'm sure, as you know, you want to try to hit it above this line, because anywhere from here to here is actually a different angle on the corner. So anything above this line is fair game. So a lot of the time I see people break and then they have too much distance. Well, now if I try to catch up to that, it's pretty far away, and I can't. I mean, ideally, I wouldn't really be able to do a whole lot with that, but
no.
It's harder to control it for sure. So
Okay.
I typically, instead of holding brake, I actually just let go of the gas for a second. And you can see this is a much more controlled air dribble.
Your control is insane.
Well, thank you. Again, it all comes down to that setup, right? I mean, I could literally do this like every single time. You can see I get the right setup every time. Ooh, not quite. Let's see, I can even do it backwards. Again, with the same distance. It's the same setup. So, again, it all comes down to getting my angle on net. Even if it's going more towards the net, you just want to stay with it, because then I can actually do, you know, if it's a little more towards the net, I can push it quicker. And I'd say generally, if you're going for stuff like air dribbles and like ceiling shots, you want to go more straight up, right? Because then that's now where I get my height from, and I can kind of push the ball a lot more in the air.
Okay.
So I think that's just generally like the setup here is, you know, giving yourself that 1 to 2 car lengths of space, hitting it on the wall, and then being able to follow it up. And I call this the universal setup because it's the same for, you've seen me do like an air dribble. The only difference now is if I wanted to do something like a center pass, I would hold onto the wall for an extra second, jump out after it, the ball, and flip into it to hit its center. So if I'm going towards the blue net and I see my teammate, I'm going to jump out and front flip it, and that's a center pass. There's an infield pass from the wall. So again, it's using that same exact setup, though. I haven't changed a whole lot. The only difference is what I'm doing with it now in the air. If I want to hit the ceiling, I go drive up to the ceiling. There we go. Now I got my ceiling shot set up.
Okay.
So the same setup is really used for like all over the place. You know, it's just a matter of you having the patience and then knowing what to do with it in the air at that point, right? But it all comes down to being able to dribble it. You know, say I'm in the net or I'm in their territory. Well, okay, now I got my setup. Bang. So it's just being patient and knowing like when to hit the ball. I find a lot of people are just, you know, they get anxious and then they hit the ball right here and it's like, oh, well, now that's hitting the ceiling. It's not the best setup. So if you just stick to that discipline and always having that space and just giving yourself the space here, well, now I can do like almost a full court air drag. And then the rest of it is just like, you know, the aerial control. And what I find is that when a lot of people try to do this, I'm going to have you hop in and I'll have you try it as well. We can kind of start from there. But I see what a lot of people do is they don't jump and tilt back far enough. So if you think about any time you're going for like a save on net, you jump and tilt your car back, right? And then you know your car is facing the top of the net. It's the same thing off of the ceiling too. Like if I jump and I want to get down to the ground, but then if I go for a shot, it would look something like that. Or if it's off of the wall, I'm actually going to jump, tilt my car back, and then if I front flip, without using any boost, I can actually get to like almost half court without using like a whole lot of boost. So it's just the movement of just jumping and tilting back. And again, you can see even without having the ball, this is already, if I jump, tilt back, then I just use a little bit of air roll, and that's the movement right there, even without using the ball. So getting used to jumping and tilting back, because then there you go. And then all I got to do is just add the ball. Get the timing, dribble up the wall, jump, tilt back, match the nose of my car to the ball, and go towards the net.
Okay, yeah. You just make it look so easy.
Thank you. Well, I hope it shows that, right? Like, I'm not trying... I think it shows in my gameplay that, like, obviously I've practiced this a bunch. So yeah. All right, do you have any questions for me or anything? I know I talked a lot for a little bit there.
No. So, basically, drive towards the wall, let off the accelerator rather than brake. Roughly 2 cars length. As it goes up the wall, boost into it to hit it.
Yep.
Jump, tilt back, air roll.
And there's an air dribble, yep.
Okay.
I think we can start from there. Obviously, if you have more specific questions about like air roll left and air roll right, we can kind of go over that. But I wanted to just, if we start from this setup, I think it might make it a little bit easier, you know, than you're probably used to. Because then now I don't really need to air roll a whole lot. It's just, you know, I can air roll to make it look a little fancier. But It's all about just having that control in the first place, you know, just with a standard air dribble before I even air roll, right? Just getting my car pointed towards the ball and using boost, and there we go. Clean air dribble.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, do you want to hop in and try it out?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Right. I can let you try it. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of let you do that for a minute.
Okay. Hang on. Where's my reset button gone?
Oh, no. See, we're in a private match, so it's not free play.
That's why it's not working. Okay.
I know it's a little more awkward, but this will force you to actually get the dribble set up and get it from the ground, you know? There you go.
Okay, well, that automatically feels much better than it has done before.
Awesome.
That's going to be too wide.
Yep.
Yeah, because like I say, I'm trying now to become a better mechanical player, but
Ooh, there you go.
okay, yeah, definitely. That, do you know what, that distance helps, the boosting into it, but then that tilt back and then air roll.
Yeah.
That's a big game changer.
There you go. You're already towards the net. Nice job. There you go.
Nice.
Like third, fourth try. Good job.
Thank you.
One of my secrets, so when I first started playing, there wasn't even custom training. Like, there wasn't even training packs back in the day. So all we had was like free play, and then we had the aerial, goalie, and striker training. That's all we had in free play. So one of the things that when I learned how to do aerials, like normally like backwards, that kind of thing, because we didn't really have we didn't even have workshop maps either back in the day too. So one of the things that I would actually still recommend kind of to this day is using the rookie aerial training, believe it or not. And this gives you a 12-second timer, and this will actually help you hit aerials, double jump without ball cam, you know, do it with ball cam. You can do it backwards. You know, you can practice your arrow left and arrow right. You're still shooting on the net. And let me see if I can actually do it. What I also like to do is pick a wall, go off of that, and try to aim and use your air roll and try to shoot it that way. I think it's a little bit more applicable. You know, we use like the Coco's aim training in the workshop maps and stuff like that for the program, but I find that this kind of drill, you know, you get your reset off the ceiling. Didn't quite get it, but you know, you can kind of mix it up.
That's a really good idea.
Air roll. Then you can do a little aim training, try to hit the top of the net, try to do, you know, you can make it as hard as you want. It's just a matter of how much you want to push yourself. You know, because you can be lazy and just bump this in all the time, you know, just straight into the net, but it's not going to be productive. So something like this is more applicable where I'm going off the wall. See, that's where that tilt back and air roll comes into play. Because that's the exact movement I just did for like an air dribble, right? Is where I just go off the wall, I tilt back immediately, and then air roll, so now I'm going straight towards the net. That shot in particular is really good for something like this, where they're kind of on this side, where I can double jump off, air roll, and then boost. Try to hit the top of the net, crossbar down. Perfect.
So yeah, definitely that lean back and air roll is such a... I mean, I was trying all sorts. I was trying tornado spinning off the wall.
Yeah, to be honest with you, since I do use arrow left and arrow right, I do end up tornado spinning. So like I'll do a little half tornado spin there, but it's a very small adjustment, right? I mean, you can literally just double jump back. Is one other exercise that I like to do now actually in free play is, so if you have Bacchus mod and you press down on your D-pad, it'll pop the ball to you. What I like to do is just go up on the wall, press down. Then that's where I find like my air roll comes into play. So if I'm going at the net, that's where that jump and tilt back. Well, now this is where your air roll shooting will come into play. So not only off the wall, we're at the jump, tilt back, you know, meet the ball and front flip into it. but also on the ground too. So if I press down, this is where like the high level shooting comes into play as well. So not just being able to shoot it like something like that where, yeah, it's got power, but it's on the ground, right? That's not what you want. So instead, you want to try to shoot it with power so it never hits the ground. See how I add a little bit of air roll there? And that's a much better shot. That's a shot I would take in a game.
Yeah.
And you can kind of level up your air rolls just using a little bit of air roll left and using the corners of your cars so that I'm always hitting it with the front left or the front right, you know, tire basically, or the front, you know.
Okay. So you don't use the non-directional air roll then? You just use air roll left and air roll right?
Correct, yep. Try to get a redirect on that. But yeah, that's like, that literally is the shot that I would expect to get in a game right there. In like Grand Champ lobbies, right? That would be a pretty good shot. And this is literally like what I do in free play every day for 5 minutes before I even go into any workshop maps. Something like that. Like so.
And you're just using standard back mod, press down and launch the ball.
Yep.
Okay.
And the main thing here, so that's why I say, and this is, I'm going to kind of incorporate, this is like big brain moves right now. So I'm going to incorporate the jump and tilt back. That's also literally what I said about saves earlier, right? Is jumping, tilting back. The whole point of it is to meet the height of the ball, right? So if I jump and I'm hitting underneath the ball, well, I didn't meet the middle of the ball, so I'm going underneath it. It's not a very good shot, right? So that wouldn't be a very good shot because it's way too high. If I jump and I go too high, all right, now I'm hitting it on the ground. That's also not a very good shot. So always meeting the middle of the ball, right? So that's where that air roll comes into play. I hit the middle of the ball and I'm driving it through my car through the ball. Like, look at that. That's a really good shot. And again, because I'm waiting until the last second, because I always want to hit the middle of the ball here. See how it's dropping, but I don't jump until the very last second. And that, like, dude, people would be going crazy if I hit that in an in-house game or in a tournament or something, you know. That'd be a very hard shot to save.
Yeah.
So it's always just applying the same idea of jumping, tilting back, and hitting the middle of the ball and just driving your car through it. That's how you get the most amount of power at any given point. And I mean, I'll literally just sit here and do that in free play all day. Woo! Nice shot.
Really impressive, yeah.
But
maybe that's one question I can ask before I go, actually, though.
Yeah.
With the dribbling, like, I seem to struggle. Like, my dribbling has got better.
Yep.
But I still don't seem to have that confidence over holding the ball, and I seem to spend a lot of time kind of moving forwards, back, and never feeling like it's properly stable. And I don't know if there's like, have you got any like key tip?
Yeah, so I guess as far as keeping the ball on your car, one of the things as far as like just starting a dribble, right, is getting the ball rolling in one direction, then going ahead of it and turning around. And again, I noticed like turn ball cam off, right? Then just drive straight at it. Then all you got to do is focus. I'm going to give you a couple of drills you might be able to practice. Do it towards the net if you can. Then try to dribble all the way to the other goal. All you have to focus on now is going straight and matching the ball speed. That'll be a good place to start. It's just matching the accelerator, you know, keeping the car in the circle of the ball. See, all my four wheels have been in the circle the whole time as well. If you feel like you can keep the accelerator good enough. There's another thing too, as far as picking the ball up too, is instead of going ahead of it, you get the ball rolling and going on the side. And again, that's where you really want to match the ball speed. So if it's going this slow, you really want to go this slow. Then just drive into it. Go left to right. So if it's on my left side, I'm going to drive to the left and pick the ball up that way. Again, I haven't used a single boost pad this entire time. It's all just about matching the ball speed. And I haven't used a single boost this entire time. You don't need a lot of boost to get a good flick. If you have good control, you don't need it.
No, that's fair enough.
Like, dude, that almost hit the ceiling. So that's why I said start slow, picking the ball up on the car, doing those left and right turns like this. Like, really, I mean this, like, go slow and don't use any boost. If you start by doing this and getting used to pushing the ball a lot with your car like this and being really patient, That's where I said then you can add to this and start picking the ball up, and instead of just dribbling it like this, we can add flicks to it. You know, if I'm going to drive to the left, okay, well now add a barrel roll as I follow through. Maps, if you want. But yeah, really doing the turning and stuff like that will really help, because then you can build on being able to jump and shoot. Then we add our air roll before, so like it all compounds into the next movement, you know.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Hitting the middle of the ball, getting the air roll, following through with a shot, and then that's where you get those compounding movements, right? Being able to dribble it, pick it up off the ground, being able to carry it, get the side foot flip.